for this session. There are many parallel tracks that are going on right now, and if many of you are worried that you might miss another track, please don't worry. We are recording all of the sessions and will somehow contact everyone, and everyone will get those videos. Our first speaker is Dr. Nagarathna, Dean of Health Sciences of VYASA, and Srimati Ashwini Sarkar, Director of Yoga Therapy. For Yoga Bharati, we'll be covering yoga therapy for common alignments. Dr. Nagarathna will explain the yogic concept of stress and its effects on human philosophy, and Ashwini ji will talk about how Yoga Bharati has replicated the VYASA model of yoga therapy in America. Ashwini ji will talk first.
Thank you very much, Asta, and I welcome you all to this session where we talk about the experience that we are going to share, that I'm going to share about the yoga therapy that we have conducted for the last 4 years here in America and here in Bay Area. We are three of us who started out yoga therapy sessions, and with a lot of trials and tribulations, we finally have been, I would say, successful, reasonably successful in conducting quite a few therapy sessions and replicated the model that VYASA follows, though not in the same way, in a different way, but mostly giving all the same sessions, including yogi counseling. So therapy classes started in 2008 actually, but I would say in full-fledged way in 2009. And even before that, we used to bring some experts from VYASA in Detroit and Houston and places like that, where they used to conduct back pain classes occasionally when they visit Bay Area. So it was just on and off for the last, I would say 10 years, but only recently, that is last 4 years, we have been running full-fledged therapy classes. And we basically started out the classes with back pain classes, and then we moved on to asthma and allergies, obesity, weight management, workshops, yoga for kids, and common ailments classes since then. And I do not want to spend too much time on this, but you would guess by reading what is the, we have collected some statistics, not a whole lot, but from that we can say that it's basically 70% of them, or even sometimes even more than that, are women. And we have adults, we have covered so far more than 250 adults. And we have about, I have put 20 kids here, but actually we have covered close to 100 kids in terms of yoga for kids in general, and probably even close to 200 kids for yoga for kids in terms of camps and various other sessions. But 20 children are these people who have various ailments and issues we have addressed for them, including even the autistic kids and stuff. So we have also done regularly, we have conducted yoga for seniors at ICC, India Community Center. So if I add that number, it will turn out to be much more, but these are yoga for senior classes in other places other than ICC. So we have covered back pain. There was a significant improvement in back pain classes, that is therapy participants. Obesity, and we have combined obesity, thyroid and metabolic disorders. And overall health improved, but we could not see a significant decrease in the weight reduction, partly because most of these people who come to our classes are busy people. They cannot keep up with the diet changes and stuff that we recommend, and also many of them cannot keep up with even the regularity. But we have seen that the regular committed participants have shown significant change in their weight. And but we could see that even though the weight did not change, their overall health improved. And for diabetes patients, we have had significant change in their sugar levels. And for asthma and allergies, committed participants have definitely shown a lot of improvement. Again, here also commitment is a big issue when it comes to Bay Area and the fast-paced lifestyle. That is one of the major challenges. So in comparison with VYASA and the Prashanti Kutiram, the Arogya Dhama Health Center, where it's a residential center and the participants get full care and they cannot go anywhere and do anything else other than therapy. So there we see compared to that, we see a lot of challenges. But I think the difference that we have made in their lives, even with this busy lifestyle, is pretty significant. I won't read the slides. I'll let you. Then we have also seen patients who have had cancer, breast cancer significantly, and of course in a couple of cases even the brain tumor. And we have seen arthritis, pretty common, and most of our adults are in the range of 40s and 50s. We don't have a very senior people coming to our classes unless we go to the senior centers and do the classes. So that's one of the things I wanted to bring to your notice. And of course we have all these different various other disorders, and you see the numbers already. And this is the graph that shows what we have in terms of number percentage, how it is distributed. That will kind of give a picture. And as you can see, adults, when I say, it's mostly in the range of 30s to 50s. That's the range. And seniors, we have covered mostly going to senior centers. And we'll be having yoga for women at that time. One of my colleagues, she's going to cover, Savita Joshi is going to cover on women and prenatal. And what did we give? Yoga intervention. It consisted of, we start with the prayer, we end with the prayer. It's mostly mantras of peace. It's not so much religious. We try to keep the religious stuff away from it. But the chanting of Om and the chanting of Shanti mantras, we don't consider that as religion, so we bring them in. And we have asanas. We start with breathing, loosening. These are little, breathing is awareness building practice, and of course loosening is just to loosen them. And then we go into asanas, and we focus quite a bit on relaxation techniques. The more chronic ailments such as arthritis and back pain, we go deeper into relaxation techniques. And for anxiety and other disorders, we have what we call, we have kind of named them as yoga for core strength and yoga for endurance. These are the names we have given, and in the bracket we give all these common ailments underneath. But basically when we say yoga for core strength, these are mostly lying down practices and a lot of focus on the core and back and relaxation techniques. The more chronic the ailment, the more deeper we go into relaxation techniques. And for anxiety patients, we kind of make it a little more dynamic and a little more loosening oriented. But our relaxation techniques like deep relaxation technique, DRT, the pranayama, and MSRT is one of the very popular techniques that Vyasa has invented, and people use it. It's called mind sound resonance technique, and through the course you will probably hear this name again and again. It's basically simple chanting of akara, that is a, u, and aum. This is as simple as it can get, but the effect that we have had on this is just simply profound. I'm going to give you some case studies on that. Cyclic meditation, you will probably, there is a session on that also. We call it yoga for stress. In the afternoon you will see cyclic meditation being conducted there. So we conduct that. That's also seen to be very popular. And then we have Om meditation, which is basically chanting of Om many times initially, then slowing down, increasing the space between the Oms, and finally leading to silence. And we have pranic energization technique. All of these are pretty much Vyasa techniques. If you happen to go to Prashanti Kutiram in Bangalore, you will see much more of these sessions throughout the day. And then we have yogic counseling, which we give primary importance. We start the session with yogic counseling. Every month we kind of go on talking about it. Even during deep relaxation, we do emphasize on what we call self-transformation. And then talking about how the effective therapy, what we have done in comparison with, again, Prashanti Kutiram, where everything is residential and they can give it in-house. But here, what we have done is we ask them to attend weekly twice a session for 3 months. That's the where we give significant discount, which is actually 40% discount. So people do tend to use that. And for that, we'll also give them a home practice kit. So this will be pictures and instructions, and we design for each one of them depending on their condition. And we'll not give them initially. First couple of weeks they come, they practice, they see how it is, and then we give them home practices. And of course we focus on yogi counseling one-on-one many a times. Although the charges are done per class, which is, considering in America we just say, okay, 1 hour class, we take 1 hour 15 minutes, the classes are 75 minutes long. but they go anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours, considering all these yogic counselings after the session. We even choose to talk to them to address their issue. And the effect of yoga therapy, I think we have kind of covered this. Just this children-related stuff. And we have seen significant change in the lifestyle of people and the feeling that they have, especially in cancer and ailments such as that. In congenital disorders, however, we could not see a whole lot of difference, partly because it is congenital and it takes a long time, and we have not had that kind of a staff or facility to provide them that much treatment. Then we have, for anxiety disorder, we have seen an amazing change. Anxiety patients immediately, the effect is very immediate. They just come back next class and they smile. In fact, one of the patients who was saying she's scared to go to stores like Target where there are a lot of people, and then she would think that everybody's mad with her. And the next class, the very next class, she came back. This was an OCD patient, and she come back and said, you know what? Yesterday when I went to Target, I felt everybody was laughing, smiling at me. It was just, I don't know whether it's just me or people were really indeed happy with me. Maybe it's my face, maybe something, I don't know. So that kind of effect on people with anxiety. We have had a very successful case where anxiety patient, very, in fact even chronic genetic issue, and this person even joined our yoga teachers training, and she's now an extremely happy camper and a yoga teacher. And seniors, regular attendees at ICC have always had smiles on their faces, and I would, I don't know if Gopi Godwani is here, but basically she says she has maintained a whole family there, and all our Yoga Bharati teachers have gone and taught ICC senior classes, and it's just one bunch of happy people simply because they practice yoga regularly there. And we have also participants who attend 2 to 3 years, and they have definitely seen that their work is getting more, they are productive, much more productive in life. And the kids, we have our Yoga for Kids teacher here, Madhavi, who has conducted yoga classes for kids for almost 2 years. And overall personality development, we focus on the parents, and we see that the parents are much more stressed in many cases than the children, because they have been pushing their children to do better, and we then sit down with the parents and explain to them that success is not about how much A's their children get, but it's about how happy they and their children together are. So we do take a lot of effort in trying to address the issues as a family when it comes to children, because children themselves may not be really in trouble. Many a times when the parents bring their children and say, my child is not focusing, my child has a problem, we found out that it was actually the mom that has a problem or a dad that had a problem. So we have addressed those. And just a few testimonials. We had back pain, one of the very big success stories for us. She was pain 24/7. She was in pain. And when after about 6 months of committed practice, the model that I explained earlier, that is home practice and yogic counseling and the whole, she followed all of that model, and in about a year's time, she was completely pain-free, and she moved from the yoga for back pain to obesity practices, which involved much more practices, more dynamic, and she was able to do all of that. And we had a woman, I don't know if Beena Desai is here, but her person, she is one of our therapists, and there was a wheelchair-bound person, could not even stand up, and the last time I visited her studio, I could see that she was doing the asanas just very well. So we have such cases, and she was saying the deep relaxation that she got for the first time simply opened her eyes up, and she says, I've never tasted anything like this before. And this is a significant study. I hope Indra Singhal is here. Basically, he presented this self-data. I don't know how nicely you can see. Basically, it's a 1-year data on blood pressure readings. And he has taken our Yoga Bharati classes. And he saw that in about 7 months, that first 7 months, that was when he was practicing yoga. And then for some, basically because the venue was not available and all, we had to stop the classes and see his blood pressure reading after he stopped the yoga classes. and that is the average of 2.5 hours per week. And he has presented his own data, and this shows how what is the effect of yoga. And we have I just rushed here. We have Ankita, one of our Yoga Bharati kids, and she had severe allergies, the eye issues, watery eyes and whatnot. I really wish I would bring her here. After about a few yogic counseling, including a phone call with Dr. Nagarathna Didi, who is here, she is totally confident. She's so confident about being able to handle her health that she's even started eating the foods that she's allergic to, and she's doing fine actually. And she says, "Now I'm going to be fine." And she closes her eyes, focuses and relaxes, and she just tells herself, "I'll be fine," and she'll be fine. It's amazing. That was thanks to Dr. Nagarathna. And we also have another child here. Again, these kids are running around everywhere. Sushant, who is also the Yoga Bharati kid, one of our volunteer son. And he was so scared recently because he took an intensive course on algebra and realized it was too hard for him. And he was ready to give up, crying and whatnot. The mom said, "Practice MSRT, Mind Sound Resonance Technique." And this summer he finished the course with an A. And that article is published in the souvenir. Take a look at it. And from illness to spirituality, we constantly give yogic counseling in a way that they do not just come here, do some practices and feel better and go home. This is not a physical practice. We always say that if you want physical practice, go to gyms. In fact, they will do exactly same things. They will even do to the, if you are having a back pain, they'll give same stretches that we do. But there's a difference and things like that. And we give them a lot of yogic counseling. We also send them to various retreats, Ayurveda, and we recommend Ayurveda along with yoga and whatnot. So they have basically seen a lot of results there. Challenges, I don't want to be negative, but then challenges do exist. We do have a cost of running. We have been running in our garage so far, and we tried moving to a venue, cost, and then constant marketing. We are just a bunch of volunteers, as you can see. We are not so much into business making, money making business people. So it's kind of hard to focus on the aspect of self-growth, spiritual growth, being very kind, all of our therapy teachers here, if somebody comes and says, "I cannot pay," they just don't accept money. So it's in that kind of scenario, it's very hard to sustain. So we have seen those challenges. People are very, very busy, even to come to yoga classes in the Bay Area. So they do come, they drop out. So sometimes it's just extremely difficult to run these in a very studio-centric situations. So we have too many yoga studios around here, too many brands, but unfortunately people don't know what is the holistic practice and what is the importance of, focusing on philosophy, on the roots and all that. So it's kind of hard for us to tell them the difference, but once they attend even one of our classes, they will know the difference. But to bring them to the first class, a lot of marketing should go behind, and we have run out of bandwidth. And as you can see, America, or nowadays even the whole world is turning out to be becoming a quick fix society. So everything has to be quick and quick band-aid and quick one tablet and everything will be okay and I'll move on. So that is how the society has become everywhere, not just in America. But so yoga is a slow process and it takes time for us to get there. But I think we are getting there. Thank you.
Now I will invite Dr. Nagarathna to come speak.
Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Friends, this track, the topic is, next slide. I'm supposed to share with you the experience at VYASA on common ailments, and as you have been hearing, we have been doing yoga research in this field for the last 25 years. We have just completed our 25th year. Here are some of the data. As Ashwini has been mentioning, we have a 250 bedded facility where patients flow in every week on a Friday, and they get admitted for a minimum period of 1 week, Friday to Friday. They reach at lunchtime and they start off the routine with all the registration, medical checkup, data taking, measurements, etc. And then by evening with a introductory talk and relaxation technique, the routine starts off, and they go through a full daily routine from morning 5:30 till 9:30 p.m. with various yoga sessions. And recently we have added Ayurveda and naturopathy, so a Panchakarma program gets incorporated in their daily routine. 1 week is the minimum period. Some people, we recommend them to stay for 2 weeks, and if they have chronic diseases, they stay anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks. The data that has accumulated over the years has led to many PhD programs, and people are, as after they arrive, after the medical examination, they are allotted into various sections where different set of practices, specially selected for their individual therapy, specific therapy for their individual need after a very thorough medical checkup will be monitored, and we have a team of each section is monitored by a trained MD and a trained postgraduate in yoga therapy, and all the MD and postgraduate diploma students who will be getting their training. That's the great experience that most of our students get while they work individually with all the patients. And so I'll be quickly running through all the sections that we go through. Section A is dedicated to oncology and neurology, and one of the common problems that we see in the oncology section is we get patients of various cancers at various stages, but this particular research data is from structured research projects which was conducted in collaboration with Bangalore Institute of Oncology. These data are not from the residential program because they are all non-residential, working in an oncology hospital where people come for their routine conventional management, and they go through the whole program. For 1 hour every day they practice. These were all some of the data that we have accumulated. I showed some of these data, so I'll quickly run through them. The stage 2 and 3 breast cancer patients, they 6 weeks during radiation therapy, they were showing very highly significant improvement in their psychological morbidity and stress markers. Terminal stage 4 breast cancer patients showing better performance in their immune markers. The hospital stay for women who are undergoing breast cancer surgery was much lower in the yoga group as compared to the non-yoga group, and all the way along, right from the day 1, before surgery, post-surgery, pre-radiation therapy, mid-radiation therapy, post-radiation, chemo, etc., we were able to observe and document the anxiety and depression scores, and we were able to show that the improvements were all the way along, their depression scores were much lower in the yoga group. The quality of sleep, I think there is some problem with the projection. Quality of sleep is that, what's that? Quality of life was much better in the yoga group as compared to the non-yoga group. I can't see the quality of life. Okay. during chemotherapy, the mean toxicity score was much lower in the yoga group as compared to the non-yoga group. Maybe some adjustment has to be made in the projection. Okay. In the A section, we also teach we treat patients with various neurological problems, chronic neurodegenerative disorders, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, people coming after head injury, spinal injury are very common these days, and we are getting very fascinating results. Very, very miraculous improvement. They have had head injuries, either they have cognitive impairment or performance impairment, neurological deficits. They have been going through physiotherapy for a few months and they come back and stay here for just 2 weeks and they get fascinating results. This was a very interesting data that we observed in collaboration with Dr. Garner, who is speaking to me in the afternoon today at least in this track about his experience. And in his Neurorehabilitation Center, we have a student exchange program. For 3 months, our MD students go there and conduct small projects. And this particular study, we were able to observe the effect on urinary symptoms in MS patients. And look at this simple thing that we were able to give these participants who are having multiple sclerosis, wheelchair bound for almost 16 to 17 years. And the amount of improvement that we were able to observe in these patients for all wheelchair bound at the German center. In fact, our students learn German language, start learning to give instructions in German language, and it's very fascinating to see the results, and Dr. Garner encourages them a lot. The post-void urine residual volume reduced. I think somebody has to make some adjustment in the projection.
Yes, please try to bring it down.
The incontinence impact questionnaire showed significant reduction, and urogenital distress was much lower, and the objective measure on ultrasound scanning of post-void urinary residual volume was much lower. In section B, we dedicate to respiratory and cardiology department. We live very near a very big multinational, multi-centers, Narayana Health City, where all our MD students go and get postings there to rotate for their training and internship. And also we conduct research projects there. And in cardiology, we were able to, what is this? The heading is missing. I think this is an asthma data, yes. This is the asthma data on asthma patients, 40 in each group, yoga and control, one of the PhD theses, where she was teaching yoga on a non-residential basis, 1 hour every day, and we had a lot of problem recruiting them. This was a project for a PhD student, even to recruit and randomize them into 40, and 40 was not an easy project. In fact, we had to go to Tamil Nadu to conduct camps and take data there, bring them to Prashanti for taking some more circular data, etc. And this was the result. They are all very highly structured, randomized controlled trials where we have been able to show significant reduction. I'm sorry about I'm not being able to show what exactly is the variable. Some problem with the projection. Those are all the, I'm sorry, the variable is not visible because of the projection problem. In Narayana Hridayalaya, we have collaboration patients are admitted there for bypass surgery. What we do is on the day before surgery, our yoga teachers sit with them, talk to them, give them deep relaxation technique, freestyle breathing technique. Lot of anxiety about ensuing surgery, which is going to be in a day or two. So within 1 day, 2 days, we have to prepare them for getting ready for surgery. And immediate post-operative, while they are in intensive care unit, what are they supposed to be doing? And they come out, they are in the hospital just for 6 days. So within those 6 days, we should catch them several times in the day. So we have posted our teachers there long term, and we run a yoga department in a high-tech heart hospital. And we were able to conduct this Ayush funded project, in which we were able to recruit 150 for yoga, 150 for non-yoga group, and we follow them up. 6 days during the surgery, immediately post-operative, what are the immediate changes. Then they come back for a 6 weeks review, 6 months review, 1 year review, and this is now ongoing. We are in the 5th year of follow-up, but this is 1 year data. Those who were below the BMI was significantly better in the yoga group as compared to the non-yoga group, and those who were really overweight had a much better, more significant reduction in their weight and body mass index. Most fascinating thing was in the ejection fraction. The pumping capacity of the left ventricle was much better in post-operatively in the yoga group who continued to do yoga with over a period of time. This was 1 year follow-up where the ejection fraction had improved significantly in those who had an EF below 50. This is being processed. Our section C is dedicated to psychiatric problems and mental retardation and other psychological problems. We have had publications, one thesis on schizophrenia, which there are 2 papers published. Am I audible? No. And a depression project is ongoing, and we have had collaboration with the National Institute of Medical NIMHANS, Mental and Neurosciences, where Dr. Rajendra was a co-guide for one of the PhD students, where we got 2 publications on schizophrenia and yoga. And we also had studied some heart rate variability and awareness in schizophrenia patients. We work with long stay homes for the schizophrenics. We are very nearby. We have a very interesting long stay home where schizophrenic patients come from various parts of the world, and there is one Father Hank who runs this center. It's commonly said, many of your yoga teachers, it's commonly said that meditation should not be taught to schizophrenics. Understand, very clear contraindication. The reason, if they sit with their eyes closed for a period of time, more than 5 minutes, as I keep teaching the students, more than 5 minutes, their mind gets lost in their world of delusions and hallucinations. Therefore, it may aggravate the condition. Therefore, do not teach any meditation for schizophrenics. Therefore, we always teach them to do asanas. Asanas with eyes closed is fine. Pranayama is with eyes closed is fine. But they should be avoiding sitting in one single position, trying to do whatever meditative mantra, etc. we have taught to them, but we don't ever know what their mind is doing. Therefore, it's contraindicated. But here we introduce cyclic meditation. Cyclic meditation is a technique where we start using body movements for meditation, something that looks like Tai Chi. Body movements but continuous deep internal awareness and closed eyes. They have to be doing meditative practices with using body movements, about which you will be hearing in some other research track also. So we found the fatherland's experience was very interesting. After they started doing this for about 2 months, because they are all long stay participants living there for years, he found that they were becoming more aggressive. Obviously, we were all a little worried, but Fatherland says this aggressive behavior was something different, something unusual, which they had not observed earlier. The reason that they had become violent, they had become a little more angry was because for the first time they have started becoming aware of their problem, which is the biggest problem in schizophrenics. They are not aware that they are sick. So this awareness about their sickness helped these counselors to work with them and take them one step further. And their fatherland continues to teach them cyclic meditation even today on a long-term basis, so that awareness of their illness is a very, very major contribution of yoga to these schizophrenics. Very fascinating data on autistic children. Again, a research, a PhD student's project. She runs a school for the autism children, and she registered for PhD with us, and she started making 2 group study, one group in her own school where she was teaching yoga to her children with autism, so satisfying the specific criteria, and another school where yoga is not there. She compared matching groups and then she was able to follow them up for 2 years. It's not easy to teach yoga to autistic children. It requires lots and lots of patience, and look at the fascinating results. The eye-to-eye contact was much better. This is 1 year follow-up and this is 2 years follow-up. 10 months and 20 months. And the eye-to-eye contact is something which is very difficult in autistic children. There was a highly significant improvement in their sitting tolerance, in their eye-to-eye contact, their body posture and balance, body awareness. She is the Dr. Radhakrishna who conducts this program. Depth perception and balance and imitative skill. Reduction in imitative skill is a very important thing that we use in artistic behavior, self-stimulatory behavior. Arthritis is another area where we have been having very encouraging research. I just heard from one of you that the American Arthritis Society has is now recommending yoga to arthritis patients, which is a very heartening thing to know. An orthopedic surgeon who registered for PhD. I am specifically mentioning that if there are any of you in the audience, you please register for PhD even from this country through VYASA on a distant mode, and you can start designing studies and then get your PhD from SVYASA University, the only yoga university in the world. So 125 for yoga, 125 non-yoga. People who are about to get registered or who have been recommended knee replacement for osteoarthrosis of the knee with a damage to the cartilage were the ones who were registered for the project, and they were taught all these Sukshma Vyayama practices. What are the results? The results were the early morning stiffness was much lower in the yoga group, significant reduction, almost 68%, 100%, as compared to the non-yoga group who were doing physiotherapy. This was a study where control group was not doing nothing. They were doing the standard physiotherapy with short wave therapy, physical exercises, as recommended by the standard physiotherapy department, and yoga was the other group. So physiotherapy did help, but yoga was giving additional benefits. The lady who could not bend the right knee is now able to bend her knee. Yoga group also decreased total knee disability scores. All standard disability questionnaires were used, and we have 3 publications from this study. The genovalgum deformity, which is one of the very, why this is running so fast? Genovalgum deformity is something which is very effective, makes them limp a lot, and within these 12 weeks of the intervention, there was a significant reduction in the distance between the 2 knees when the knee was stretched and kept crossed. Then the lady who could not squat is now able to squat after doing the yoga. Back pain is another major area we come across. People who have been recommended surgery for prolapsed intervertebral disc are the ones who are recommended. In fact, most of the doctors in the vicinity now say, okay, if I have to open your back and give you a laser surgery, I can wait. You go to Prashanti and let me see. If you don't get well, you come back to me. Maybe I would have been able to, I would have had to refer not more than 1 to 2% of the patients for surgery. After they have been told that they need to undergo surgery, 95 to 98% of them manage to go away without surgery. This has become such a routine thing. Now, I don't have to meet our participants. Our therapist takes the MRI and says, oh, ये कुछ भी नहीं है, हम करेंगे. And with that, our fascinating results are coming. Because back pain, prolapsed intervertebral disc, sciatica are all very commonly seen with protrusion of intervertebral disc, prolapse, etc. It's a very common problem we come across. Again, 3 publications by Dr. Padmini Tekor on her study where they stayed for 2 weeks. 1 week they did yoga, and the following week we crossed them over for non-yoga and crossover design. First week non-yoga, second week yoga. One group, and one group first week yoga and first week non-yoga and second week yoga. And we were able to work with them and show very significant improvement in both the groups. Within 1 week, first and 7th day, significant reduction in osteospastic disability, spinal flexion, spinal extension, depression, WHO QOL, and diabetes is another area where we had our first publication from Royal Free Hospital in London, and these are all the practices that we teach them. This was again a randomized controlled trial where we were able to compare the standard conventional lifestyle change with exercise and diet and compare it with non-yoga group. What did we notice? We noticed that yoga was similar to exercise in reducing blood glucose, HbA1c, triglycerides, etc. But yoga was better than exercise in increasing the good cholesterol. Menstrual disorder, we have had 2 PhDs, menopause and PCOD. Which are the 2 projects in which we have been able to show significant improvement. Obesity, promotion of positive health are other areas where we use. The geriatric group of adults, we were able to demonstrate significant reduction in the sleep problems, which is very fascinating, that their sleep latency, the duration to fall asleep, the habitual sleep efficiency were all better in the yoga group, and positive health. What do our therapists do for our patients when they come there? What we teach them is to work on all 5 aspects of our personality, as you heard from Dr. Nagendra, that there are practices at all these levels, and help them to change their lifestyle by working on their mind. All our patients know how to reduce weight, what to do, what not to do. Education is there. But why they are not able to stick to their exercise or stick to their diet or come out of their bad habits or handle their stress. It's all because of the mind. Therefore, mind management we have to incorporate in all our daily routine, and we work on a basic set of yoga practices with breathing exercises, loosening exercises, Surya Namaskara, and based on the individual's capacity, individual sleep, individual disease, this set gets changed with emphasis on avoid this and emphasize this. The breathing exercises, then comes the asanas, standing, prone, supine, sitting, followed by kriyas, Prapalbhati and Vamanadhauti once a week, and ending with deep relaxation. All kriyas have always to be followed by the deep relaxation technique. Then they all do pranayama, they all do meditation, they all do daily routine of bhajans and devotional practices with lot of theoretical backup, and do their Vedanta study regularly. Vibhagiya pranayama, and help them to slow down the breath and reach the state of deep dharana, dhyana and samadhi, and reach a state of expansion and slowness. So with these practices, plus bhakti yoga as you heard from Guruji and Raghuramji, and reach the state of silence, we help them to become a master of their mind, change their response and reaction patterns, and work on their mind to change their lifestyle. And that is a whole of the integrated approach of yoga therapy, which is helping them to reach a state of total health and come to a state of blissful existence and freedom from disease. And most of our patients, follow-up is a very big problem. However much they show improvement, following them up, continuing to maintain their regular practice at home is one of our major challenges. And of course it is the disease that makes them continue to do their practice. If they are free from the problem, they stop their yoga practices. But as you and I know, yoga is not meant only for therapy. They should continue to grow and grow and grow and reach the heights of spiritual excellence, and that's where the yoga should lead us on. With this, let me stop here. Thank you. Questions will be taken up in the panel discussion. Please write your questions and send it over.
Our speaker is Dr. Dilip Sarkar, the Executive Director at the School of Integrative Medicine at Lecture University, will be speaking on yoga for hypertension and cardiac problems. He will explain the mechanism of the action of yoga therapy and will demonstrate how yoga can be practiced by anyone in any condition with regularity, commitment, and perseverance. One can reverse any disease, including heart disease.
Okay, use the functioning one. Good morning. Before I start, this is my email address, this is my cell phone. Only thing I do these days is I teach yoga therapy, primarily to the medical people, physicians, and I do a CME program. So if you have any question, any concern about any patient, please call me, write to me. That's the only thing I do. I'm hooked up on my cell phone or hooked up on the computer. First, the yoga therapy per se, for any disease, is a daily practice. A daily practice for rest and relaxation of the organ concerned. And it is a holistic practice. Holistic practice means we use all the modalities of yoga to achieve that rest and relaxation. As for example, we use the philosophy, Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. We use all different yogas, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, what we have heard. We use 8 limbs of yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dhyan, Dharan, Samadhi. It is not a reductionist approach. It is not like that I take a Tylenol for my headache. We are going to reach the rest and relaxation in all the different paths. So everybody asks me, give me the asanas, pranayams, meditation for what is for hypertension, what is for heart disease. My answer to that is that I'm going to give you a concept. You are going to be a teacher. You're going to teach your patient. Going to give you a concept. Then with your mind, you are going to formulate. And you are going to help those patients. All the physician comes to me. I do a CME program. Last year I was CME program. I had 40 physicians. Ask me, how can I use it in my practice? Answer is very simple. Why don't you do it? Feel it yourself first. I'm here as a bright example. I had open heart surgery 11 years back. I don't take any medication, nothing, but I do daily practice of yoga. So let's see. We are going to give you all the evidence-based. All the physicians ask me to give me the evidence-based medicine. We have been evidencing. Nagarathna had published a paper on bronchial asthma, published in British Medical Journal in 1985. I will show you the data, hypertension data in Lancet in 1973. We have been publishing it for so long, now it became a practice-based evidence. What is practice-based evidence? A difference in the research. The research protocol in Western medicine or conventional medicine is, I do a research, I have a data, Ashwini does the same thing, she has the data, Matra will be the same thing, she will have a data, reproducible data, we use it in our research, in our clinical trial, then use it in our work. But yoga, on the other hand, is a practice-based evidence. We've been practicing it for 5,000, 6,000, I don't know. My new carbon data says we're doing it for 10,000 years. So there is no question about it, and I will show you. So where it started, what the data are. But again, it is all experiential. But as we said, for the Western mind, we have to do some research. That's what we have the organization. International Association of Yoga Therapists. Our executive director is sitting here, John Kepner, 3,000 member. We'll show you. We have the journals. This is one I just published a little while ago to give you a little idea for the people to understand. This is called Understanding Yoga Therapy Research. But I'm not going to go over all this stuff. I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea what to do for a patient who has hypertension and a cardiac disease. So, first of all, how all this thing evolved? This thing evolved because by practicing yoga, we have known one thing called voluntary control over involuntary function. We used to think that autonomic nervous system is autonomic. But we know now that it is not autonomic anymore. You see the yogis, they can hold their breath, they can be under the ground for months or hours, God knows how long. They can walk on a nail, walk on the fire. So this is the first Western evidence of Swami Rama. You have the Himalayan Institute, 1969. He first voluntarily stopped his heart in front of a physician. It was Dr. Elmer Green. But when he did EKG, we find it was an atrial fibrillation. It was not a total cardiac stop, it was atrial fibrillation. But what he did at the time, our hand has the two arteries, radial artery and ulnar artery. He could selectively shut down one of the arteries for the blood flow. This is the way it came that we need some research work and need to see that yoga has some role in hypertension and heart disease. Now, as I said, the evidence-based, we look at called a PubMed as a physician. PubMed Central, and we do all the online search. But I don't know what is all of your background, but any place I go, only thing they said, I have a guru. I said, who is your guru? My guru is called Google. My Google is my guru. So what is here, I just want to even show you, this is a Google search. Google has a product called a Google Scholar. I don't know if you know it, but Google Scholar is better than any other online research journal search. It's an amazing, amazing product called a Google Scholar. If you type a Google Scholar, you go back to first, look at that where you went to. In 1973, the first article came up on yoga and biofeedback for the management of hypertension. This was published in Lancet, one of the most prestigious journal you can even think about. So there are 20 patients, the medication was stopped in 5 patients, reduced in 7 patients, 4 patients did not have any response. They were so fascinated, they went ahead and did a randomized controlled trial published in 1975. So that's what I'm saying. When I talk to the physician, I tell them, what more evidence you need? This is probably before many of the physicians are born who have been practicing medicine. You can see there are 36 patients that randomized for 6 weeks, treated group, blood pressure dropped from 168 to 141. There's a number, control group have this. I'm going to go over with a lot of slides now because I just want to give you a little bit of a flavor what yoga is for hypertension and heart disease. This is for a cardiac disease. If you do the same, that Google Scholar, you will see the date back to 1985 or 1995. And most of the papers, look at the journals are talking about Lancet, JAMA, in intensive lifestyle changes, and it's all from Dean Ornish. If you see that Dean Ornish has first shown that it is reversible. And Dean Ornish is a program, he's just next door, he's in UCSF, and this is his program. His program is called Ornish Spectrum Program. This is for reversing of the cardiac disease through lifestyle. But if you know the story of Dean Ornish, anybody knows where he comes from, he was trained by Satchitanand. And he even claims himself, you know what he claims? He had ADD. He could not even function. His sister was a follower of Satchitanand. And he became a Satchitanand's follower. He went to Harvard Medical School, became a professor of cardiology in UCSF. He's been doing it for the last 35 years. And today, this is approved by Medicare. You know, our system is called a healthcare system. But what do? We do a disease care. 99.9% of disease care. Obama talks about healthcare. I said, to Obama, healthcare is free. Healthcare is yours. This is the health, and Medicare is now approving this health. Look at this program, fascinating program he's doing. He has shown first, published the article, that the reversal of heart disease to the point he has shown even the angiogram. There is a blockage in the coronary arteries, blood going to the heart, it even opens up. There is some angiographic evidence, blockage which opens up with his program. This is a famous, I don't think you can read too much. What worries me is that we are all becoming alternative medicine, and it is all going to happen more and more. So this is what it is. We talk about what is yoga therapy. Yoga therapy is rest and relaxation to the organ. And this is the person who first noticed it, Herbert Benson. He was a follower of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He showed that relaxation reduces heart rate, blood pressure. He went ahead and published and wrote this book called Relaxation Response. And it became an instant hit for the medical community. So what is the blood pressure? Blood pressure is a product of a cardiac output into called peripheral resistance. Cardiac output means amount of blood which heart can pump, peripheral resistance and tightening of the blood vessels. So the moment you relax these blood vessels, peripheral resistance drops down, blood pressure drops down. What happened, a cardiac output is a product of a heart rate times stroke volume. The heart rate is the amount of time heart will beat, stroke volume is the amount of blood a heart can contract and pump. So the moment you reduce the heart rate, cardiac output comes down, blood pressure drops. Very simple equation, understandable every physician who went to medical school. So basically what we say, that when you practice and patient comes in, all the patients are called rogi. Rogi means they have a disease. They are not going to do yoga. We put them in the chair, we get their spine straight, eyes closed, do some little very gentle pranayama, breathing out longer than breathing in, and we'll show you what to do. Then we convert them called nirogi, mean no disease. Then they become yogi. When they become yogi, they start doing yoga. So these are the way we first start with the patient who comes with a very severe hypertensive and a heart disease. We do it in a cardiac rehab. The people who just have an open heart surgery, we do the people with in my center. First, we let them in grounding poses. We will sit them in a chair. They sit in a chair in the front. They slide all the way to the back and keep the spine straight. Keep the spine straight, eyes closed. We call it manastir. Yogic breathing, we just let them do it, breathing out longer than breathing in. Lung is like a balloon. And do completely effortless. We do not do any pranayama like yogis. We do all the pranayama like a absolutely effortless, and slowly they became from rogi to nirogi. We do a tremendous amount of Om chanting because we believe at the research work today, the frequency of the Om almost has the same calming, cooling frequency of the brain, and this is called a harmonic resonance. Two frequency interacts and cancels those frequencies, sustain a calm and a cool state. And then we put down in a stages of asanas. When you put a person in asanas, the muscle contracts. Initially it's called arambha, beginning. Then the muscle starts to relax. It's called a sthiti, stability, and a visarjan. We go to different phases, and here is it to show the inhalation is sympathetic, exhalation is parasympathetic. So again, we are going to do one thing, that by the time we keep them in this position for a longer time, brain gets a signal called neuroplasticity. Brain thinks that's how I need to be. So what happens slowly, that impact goes to the smooth muscles, the blood vessels starts to relax, the better perfusion of the coronary arteries, and I will show you what happens. The plaque starts to get regressed. So what happens here, when the blood vessel, the coronary arteries, the blood going to the heart, when they are in a state of spasm, in the tightness, there is a lining inside called endothelium. Endothelium breaks down. Endothelial health goes down. We are alive, we are functional because of only almost one thing. It's called endothelial function. So when the endothelium breaks down, all the calcium, cholesterol, everything deposits and forms like a plaque. Then got a blockage in the artery. It doesn't have to be blocked. They get a sudden emotional changes, sudden physical change in the blood pressure, heart rate, the plaque breaks down. It's called an unstable plaque and gets an acute heart attack. But if the blood vessel is relaxed, the endothelium is functioning, all the things goes through there, all the cholesterol, calcium goes there, doesn't get deposited. In fact, it starts to regress slowly in that factor. Let me go quickly to let you know how we do it. And the most important thing we believe today, that what Nagarathna was saying, the root cause of hypertension and heart, all the disease is a monomaya kosha, is the mind. It is called a brain arousal. And we know very much about brain arousal in Western terms, is that people with the sleep apnea and insomnia has the highest incidence of now has a coronary disease and hypertension. This is a significant, the results now, and this John Hopkins is a paper, but this is a beautiful story I heard from Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. I don't know if all of you should know Sri Sri Ravi Shankar now. So Ravi Shankar said a story, a man who had a heart disease won $1 million in the lottery. His wife found it out, and wife was afraid to tell him because he thought he might get another heart attack. So his wife went to the usual thing what you do in America. The wife went to the church, and talked to the father, talked to the priest. So, Father, can you help me break the news to my husband so he doesn't get a heart attack? Father said, yes, why don't you bring him? We do a little praying. So he brought him, we did a little praying, the whole hands. The father brought the news. What you will do if you get $1 million in the lottery? The man looks at the father, said, Father, if I get $1 million in the lottery, I'll give your church and you $100,000. And guess what happened? Any guess? Priest got a heart attack, So the priest got a heart attack. So that is the story of brain arousal, So it's a very, very important story. The priest got a heart attack, okay? So now, how does this work? It works this way. Our body has a defense mechanism called hypothalamic function, called negative feedback cycle. If we get an arousal here, if arousal activity, body will recover it. That is called our body's healing power. In fact, what yoga does, Ayurveda does, everything. We tap our healing power of the body. And very interesting, what the physicians will do? We don't get the healing power to work. So what happened? Number 1 cause of death in this country is cardiovascular disease. Number 2 cause of disease is cancer. Number 3 cause of disease Any guess? Accidents, stroke, or iatrogenic. The doctors induce death. It is a complication of the procedures and the drugs. 100,000 people die from the complication of the medication and the drugs. There's a fantastic joke. In Canada, the doctors went to strike. You know, Canada is a national health care. The doctors went to strike, and you know what happened when the doctors went to strike? The hospital death rate came down. So, this is what happens in our daily life. You get one arousal response, before it comes down to normal, you get another arousal response. These are called stroke. So it goes up, before that, it's called maladaptive response. And here it is, what we call idiopathic hypertension. We don't know what is the cause of this hypertension. We as a yogi, we know what is the cause of this hypertension. So that's the way it looks like today, that what is called a white coat hypertension. Brain arousal. You go to see a doctor, but when the doctor sits down like this, there is no more white coat hypertension. The doctor sits down in lotus position, and this is the connection, the brain and heart connection, because you know the word we use. What do you use? Memorized by heart. Our soul is here. The heart is totally dependent on the manomaya kosha. This is the disease of the manomaya kosha. And how it is all connected. When you had an emotion, the emotion connects into the area called a limbic system. The two nuclei called amygdala and hippocampus. Amygdala and hippocampus sends a signal to your hypothalamus through neurotransmitter. It's called a neuro area. That sends signal to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland sends a signal to the adrenal gland. That's called a psychoneuroendocrinology. That is the pathway of that. And most important thing for you to take home today. This is called our body, mind and spirit. In a computer science, we say our body is the hardware, mind is the software, spirit is the programmer. And who is the programmer? I am the programmer. I fix my software, hardware is all fixed. Doesn't matter what you do. You put the angioplasty stent, do all the medication, everything is not going to work unless you fix what Dr. Nagarathna was saying. If you don't fix your software, the mind, nothing is going to be fixed. I'm going to be very quick now. I'm going to show you some slides. These are all the koshas you have already seen. But the disease is in the monomaya kosha. And essentially, it is a deep internal awareness and reduction. And all the patient will say, with stages, with faith, impossible become possible. Okay? And let me just go ahead. I know you'll have some questions. I just have only 19 minutes. I spoke. So about 10 more minutes, I'll speak about 5 more minutes, and 5 more minutes of question. Are you question now or later on? Now? Oh, okay. So let me just go 4 or 5 more minutes, okay? I'll finish in half an hour. Okay, thank you. I've been doing it, I'm a vagabond, that's the only thing I do, I talk, sometimes when I talk for 6 hours, So, again, these are the things, which you can do, but one very important thing for hypertension and heart disease. How many of you know what is netipat? Netipat. All of you should do netipat. Netipat does one thing, very important thing. When you do a netipat, when you put the water in your nose, comes out, nose gets clean. But it burns, what happens? Your eyes starts burning, everything is burning, it makes your life miserable. But you keep on doing it. What happened? It doesn't burn anymore. You don't need that saline water anymore. You can do normal water. What happened? Your irritation goes away. Now nobody bothers you anymore. Your mother-in-law doesn't bother you anymore. Your daughter doesn't bother you anymore. Your boss doesn't bother you anymore. So what happened? The blood pressure doesn't go up anymore. Blood pressure is the reason for irritation. Jalneti is a powerful tool to controlling your blood pressure and coronary disease. Please do everybody. I've been doing it for years and years. Another very important thing is called heart rate variability. We talked about. These are going a little bit more in depth and details, which will show when people comes from here. These are called baroreceptor sensitivity. This is one very important thing. I just want to let you just talk to you for a minute before I finish. Is that if you do a person headstand, we talked about yesterday in our yoga space. This fellow cannot do a headstand. So somebody is holding him up. So what happened? All the pressure inside the head is high. pressure inside the brain is high, his blood pressure goes up, heart rate goes up, he looks miserable. But if we can get up into a headstand, and you will see what happened. This is two of my physicians, they are actually pulmonary physician. They have one tool in their hand called a Doppler. And that is the only thing they use. And what I tell them very simply, they're using Doppler all the time. Like if your only tool is a hammer, whole world is a nail. So they've been doing a Doppler every time. So what happens if the person can stay up in a headstand, and then you do the carotid flow, in the blood flow in the neck, it is normal. Even if you go to intracranial, this is called a transcranial Doppler. Intracranial Doppler, when you do blood flow, there's a little high diastolic flow, but they're all normal. What does it mean? That body has the defense mechanism. You keep your head down, slowly baroreceptors get sensitive, your pressure, intracranial pressure goes down. So if body can lower my heart rate, lower my pressure, it'll be able to do it for hypertension and heart disease. That's what we recommend. Very slow, lot of controversy. I said, you know what, your defense mechanism is body feedback. Put your head down, you listen to your breath. Annamaya kosha to pranamaya kosha. Anything you do to this annamaya kosha, it will reflect in pranamaya kosha. If a breath is completely effortless, if you have no pain, if you have stability, sthiti, keep on going. In stages, impossible become possible. And that is showing that in the leg pressure is there too. I'm going to have a couple of minutes for question and answer. Just to show you, they're showing that even the renal artery gets improved. And these are all the publications, and these are also genetics. People talk about genetics. Genetics has nothing to do with your health. It's called epigenetics, how you handle your genetics. Yoga is like a switch. It turns on and turns off your genes. This is called, you will see, your Y DNA is not your destiny. So this is the way it works. You have a genetic predisposition for the hypertension or heart disease. You did something in the lifestyle, you get a genetic expression as a clinical disease, and then if you use yoga therapy, you call genetic suppression. When you genetic suppression, you prevent the progression and the progression of the disease. It's a very, very important concept. Couple minutes, I just want to show you how it works. Primary prevention. My father has a hypertension. If I continue yoga therapy, I don't have any hypertension. Secondary prevention, like me, I have a genetic predisposition, I have a heart disease, I have a yoga therapy, genetic suppression, I prevent the progression and reversal of the disease. But this is the most important thing, that when you continue yoga therapy, better management of the disease, less pharmaceutical support, better quality of life. I am like a Energizer battery. I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. I don't sleep, I don't take any medication, I eat very little, I can go long years and years without any medication, without any food. These are the things just for the people who wants to know what to do. We use a lot of Chandra Namaskar instead of Surya Namaskar. We know Chandra Namaskar is a cooling. We do a lot of Chandra Vedi Pranayama. And these are all the asanas. This is a paper presented, published in Journal of Alternative Complementary Medicine. This was actually from a big study from Swami Ramdev's group, showing that all the changes it happens, and these are the things we are doing in our hospital. This is like I talk to all the physicians. Only thing I do, I'm in a position now, all the physicians listens to me, is a grand round called CME. I do all the CME. This is my hospital, continuing medical education grand rounds. The topics, what is the topic here? It's on a wellness, basically yoga therapy for cardiac wellness. We do all these things, we are doing it now, and I'm going to stop it. Let me see how many more slides I have here. That's the biggest thing. How many physicians are here? Doctors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a prescription printed by your drug companies? Ask them to print a prescription like that, That'll work, no? Yoga therapy for coronary artery disease. And this is what you get. I get the email from the physicians and from the patients. And again, the medications they give. This is the thing I tell the physicians. To progress coronary artery disease, they give an aspirin, statin, beta blocker, ACE inhibitor. And we can show how the yogic process you can get rid of all the medications. And this is the slide I use all the time in my presentation. And I told you yesterday that this is the famous slide from Sachidanand. Satchitanand is in a Yogaville. He been invited to University of Virginia, 500 physicians, to talk about medical benefits of yoga. He got up, took a chalk, he wrote down illness and wellness. He circulated I and we, which is the end of my talk. Illness starts with I, wellness starts with you, we. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I'll be glad to answer. If you don't have any time, I'm here. You have my email address, my cell phone. I do answer cell phone every now and then. Okay? Any questions? And just to let you know, I'm on time, okay? This is my passion now. The only thing I do. I talk, give a talk. Any questions? You know, the question here is for you to take home. This is like a seed inside your head. Take home. What is your thought process? Manomaya kosha, software, hardware. If you do anything in the hardware, it's not going to be fixed. You have a question? First one here.
Thank you for your presentation. I was no education, but I got little education and it's dangerous. So if I have a question, I will send you an email.
Beautiful. And I will answer it too. Promise.
So what is the treatment for macular degeneration and macular role of retina in yoga and Ayurveda treatment?
This is not a part of this discussion.
I'm sorry.
Sorry for the question. Next one. I'm sorry, I'm a teacher. I've been teaching all my life. You know, we have a time short and you have to be answered for what I presented. Next one.
Thank you for your talk.
Yes.
I had a question. In one of the slides you mentioned that exhalation acts on the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more?
It is a lot of go to PubMed, okay, and type Shirley Tellis. Type Shirley Tellis. You know who Shirley Tellis is? Go to the PubMed, Shirley. There is a volume research. What you could do if you do a deep inhalation. It's a negative pressure, negative intrathoracic pressure, and it reduces our heart. There's a lot of physiological mechanism, but just take it in mind that remember this: inhalation is sympathetic, and exhalation is parasympathetic. There's a lot of data, a lot of paper, a lot of physiology there, a lot of information is there. You know, to explaining here, it will take about half an hour. But just remember, when you practice, the way we practice that pranayama, count of 3 in, 1 and 2 and a 3 in, count of 6 out. 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6 out. And slowly they progress, completely effortless, as if, like the way they breathe in, when they breathe out, we don't do the yogic breathing, we just do. Then you progress. Yeah, there is enough data to show. Any other question? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Spirit is a programmer, and the programmer is nobody but I. Look at the words we use. I have diabetes. My doesn't have a diabetes. My body has a diabetes, but I have diabetes. So who is I? I am the programmer. I am the Anandamaya Kosha. I am controlling the Vijnanamaya. Remember one thing, at the Anandamaya Kosha, I'm in balance, I'm disease free. So at Vijnanamaya Kosha, I start having some imbalances. My body will have imbalances, but Vijnan, what is rationality? It pulls you down. Don't do it. But in the Monomaya Kosha, I start all the imbalances and have no control. So the Monomaya Kosha gets imbalanced, it shows up in a Pranamaya Kosha. So you see that people who have a disease are sitting there. I can tell you how many of all of you have a disease. If you look the way you are breathing now. But then Pranamaya Kosha gets imbalanced, it gets into Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is the body. By the time you have a diabetes or a hypertension or heart disease, you are already too late. That's what in Ayurveda, what we have 6 stages of disease. The first 3 stages are called whispering. Last 3 stages are called shouting. So we want to pick up the disease in the whispering state. That's what she was all talking about. All the extensive research in SVYASA showed. So all in here in Manomaya Kosha. Anything else? I don't want to get over the next person's time. I'm very concerned about these things. You know, when you be on the time, because when you extend your time, you get into next person's time. There's a red flag here. Thank you for your attention. I'm here. Please find me. Thank you.
Is Reverend Ellen Grace O'Brien, the Spiritual Director Center for the Spiritual Enlightenment in San Jose, who will be speaking on how to have more energy. Reverend O'Brien will present the ways of increasing vitality and living in harmony with what is most meaningful to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Namaste. You can hear me all right? Yes? So, if you have been here for the full session, we have had a wealth of information shared by my distinguished colleagues and fellow speakers this morning. Thank you. So, since I'm going to talk about having more energy, let's begin with raising up our energy a little bit. Would you like to just stand for a moment to see how that works? And when we stand, let us just stand and put our arms out, gently, palms up, and let us chant Om, just gently, 3 times. Thank you very much. I'd like to begin with a question for us. What does abundant energy look like? You know, we have testimonies and examples in the lives of the saints and sages. At this conference, we're celebrating the life of Vivekananda, and certainly we look at his life and we see abundant energy. Gandhiji, Mother Teresa in modern times, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. What do we see when we look at these people who exemplify abundant energy? Enthusiasm for life, certainly. A tirelessness. Also, joy. I've been talking about the koshas today, and the Anandamaya kosha seems to be shining right through in those who have this energy, enthusiasm, and clear focus for their lives. So what is their secret? I had an experience a few years ago that just brought this to the forefront of my mind. Our center has a conference that we offer called Carry the Vision, and it is about ahimsa. It is about nonviolence in our community and in our world, and we're about to offer that in about 3 weeks at the University of Santa Clara. And the vision being carried, of course, is the legacies of Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Cesar Chavez, who is an important leader in California especially. And Dolores Huerta is a woman who worked side by side with Cesar Chavez, taking the teachings they had learned from Gandhiji and putting them into practice to bring justice for the farm workers in California. So I had an opportunity to ride a train, take a train ride with Dolores Huerta from Los Angeles to San Jose. We were coming to the conference a few years ago. And I was watching her from a distance with another person, and she was speaking to young people about this practice of nonviolence, which has been her life and her passion. And she's now in her 80s, and so at that time she was close to that age. And while many of us had been on the train for some time, it had been making several stops, we were kind of feeling fatigued. She was going strong. She could have pulled the train herself with her energy. And we were just commenting on this energy that she was exuding. And my friend said, the secret is that there is no conflict in her. There is no conflict in her, in who she is, what she says, what she does. This is yoga, is it not? She would not formally call herself a yogi or a yogini, but certainly her life was exemplifying yoga. So this unity, oneness, being restored to our original wholeness, this harmony of body, mind, and spirit. This is the most efficient energy state available and possible for us. Whether we're sitting in meditation or we're engaged in action in the world, the state of no conflict, no interference between body, mind, spirit. When we are at odds with ourselves, when there's a split between our hearts and our minds, between our soul and our bodies, we are not energy efficient, and that becomes a drain on our system. So today I just want to pose the question about our own experience of energy in our lives. And we understand as practitioners of yoga that we are our best scientists to look at our own life and see what our energy levels are and what they are related to in terms of our own ability to be living conflict-free, body, mind, and spirit. And also I think it's interesting for us to look at and to ask how energy is viewed in the culture that we live in. How is it viewed here in the West? For as long as I can remember in this culture, certainly if you watch television, which is a mass producer of our culture, there's always something you can take to get more energy, right? There's something you can take in. When I was growing up, I'll age myself here, the product was Geritol, for my parents. If you have tired blood, you can take Geritol. And, now we have, of course, other things that people are recommended to take in. And I understand that the energy drink for young people in the technology industry to keep going is called Red Bull. That this is what you take. Now, yoga, of course, offers many remedies for low energy. The asanas of Hatha Yoga can bring us into energetic balance. Pranayama can purify the subtle channels and enhance the flow of prana, our vital force, that contributes to our experience of energy and vitality. We can learn about the gunas and how these elements affect everything. Our thoughts, our bodies, of course, our energy. So we can learn to adjust, make adjustments in our environments, in our diets, in accordance of our understanding of the gunas and how they affect our well-being. The use of mantra, of course, can lift us up, and meditation, prayer, and sacred ritual. I practice it all, and I recommend it all. Natural ways to cultivate energy. However, what I want to say today is really, I am sure, simply a reminder to this group, and that is that the most important remedy that yoga has to offer us and our world today is self-realization. That is the most important remedy. So the first and most essential key of having more energy is self-knowledge, is realizing our true nature. From the vantage point of knowing who we are, then we can choose various practices or interventions to enhance energy and well-being. And we will do so then in the right way and for the right reason. But without self-realization, without self-knowledge, and of course I'm talking about the capital S self, which I am assuming you know and understand. So without that, the valuable interventions that yoga offers us can be useful, but may be approached for the wrong reason and in the wrong way. So that is why we see so much in the West today the valuable interventions of yoga being offered for quote-unquote self-improvement. And here I mean small self. And so without the heart of yoga, without the soul of yoga, we run the risk of the interventions not being as powerful as they certainly can be. And with self-knowledge, one understands the true purpose of yoga practices, that they are to remove anything that obstructs the perception or expression of the divine self. These practices are not to create a spiritual condition, not to give us energy from the outside, but to reveal what is already true about us, to help us access the energy, the infinite energy that is within us. So this is the basic teaching of Kriya Yoga that we find in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, where it is defined, and it is said in the second sutra, second chapter, second pada, that this practice of Kriya Yoga is to cultivate samadhi and to reduce afflictions or obstacles. In other words, to remove whatever obstructs or interferes with our clear perceptions and direct experience of the self. So the practice for cultivating this self-knowledge is swadhyaya. So this self-study, study of the nature of consciousness, we heard a lot about it today in terms of understanding the koshas, understanding where interference shows up, study of one's self through discernment and inquiry, and the practice of samadhi or superconscious meditation. So it is the steady, repeated practice of superconscious meditation or samadhi that purifies the mental field, removes stress from the body, enhances our ability to concentrate, awakens our intuition, strengthens our immune system, literally enhances and increases our energy. So first, I point to the heart and soul of yoga. If we want to increase energy, first seek self-realization. The knowledge and direct experience of our essential nature. And we do this through inquiry, through study, practice with our guru, through meditation. And the second key that yoga offers us is to live a disciplined life. To live a disciplined life, not to waste or dissipate our life force or our energy, our time, our resources. You know, it's the full spectrum. We want to have abundant energy. We have to pay attention to energy in all of its forms, which includes time, which includes money, which includes our speech, which includes our activity, all of it. Look at it holistically and use self-discipline to not waste energy, but instead learn how to conserve and actually increase and enhance our energy. So how do we do that? The yoga teachings tell us that living a disciplined life is dharmic living. In other words, living in harmony with the truth of our being and living in harmony with the truth about life. Dharma we recognize as the way of righteousness, the way of truth, the support, the universal order of things. So the self-discipline is learning to live in harmony with the highest order, learning to live in harmony with our own soul, with our own essence. This is the key to having abundant energy. And in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, we find, of course, the yamas and the niyamas, the restraints and the observances, focus on life in the world, the restraints, the development of the inner life, the observances, and I know that the sessions have gone long, so I'm going to just hopefully assume everyone listening is familiar with, of course, the yamas and niyamas. And if not, I do have a book out there, which I will be sharing with you afterwards. But I won't go into those now, just to say that each of the yamas and niyamas provide us with a spiritual principle that has to do with that component of spiritual law. So each yama, each niyama focuses on spiritual law, how the universe works. Then each one has several practices that shows us how to live dharmically, how to demonstrate this spiritual law. So there is a spiritual principle, there are practices, and the third thing is that each yama and niyama, each of these spiritual principles comes with a promise that tells us when we are established in that truth principle, this will manifest for us. So in other words, when we look at ahimsa, for example, the first of the yamas, non-violence, the spiritual law, the spiritual principle that ahimsa rests on is that there is only one life. There's only one reality. We share that. What we do to another comes back to us, right? So this is the spiritual principle of ahimsa that it rests on. And then we have the practices, which are do not harm yourself, another, the environment. And then, of course, there are many particular ways that we have the practices of ahimsa. Through thought, word, deed. Many, many practices. And then the promise of ahimsa is that one who is established in ahimsa is free from enmity. I like to say that put the promise in this way, that one who is established in ahimsa has the whole world as his or her friend. And so when you look at the yamas and niyamas, you will see that they are also, every one of them, a key to abundant energy in our life. Because they are a guidebook for how to live dharmically, how to live in harmony with the universal energy, how to live in harmony with the source of our being. And that is where our energy comes from, not from outside of us, but from within. So you will find that to be the most important 10 steps that you can take towards having abundant energy in life. Because anytime we are not following the restraints and observances, anytime that we are not living dharmically, we are going to be at odds with our own higher self. right? And whenever that is the case, there's a block in energy flowing through us. There's an energetic block. If we lie, if we steal, if we're selfish or so forth, our conscience, the voice of our inner self, will be raised in protest. And if we don't want to change our behavior, then we have to spend our energy trying to stifle the conscience, trying to avoid hearing our own inner guidance. We have to find some way to drown it out, and that depletes our energy. But ultimately, when we do that, when we are living at odds with ourselves and we are looking for ways to drown out the voice that is telling us to do what we know we should do. That is my Guru's definition of Dharma. Do what you know you should do. And when we are trying to drown that out, ultimately, what we are drowning out is the fire of our own lives. So this is the second key to having more energy, is to live a dharmic life. And the third key that we find in the teachings of Kriya Yoga, as they are listed in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, is Ishvara Pranidhana. To surrender to God, or put it another way, to let go of the illusion that we are separate from the source. That somehow we are out here on our own, having to find energy, having to create on our own. You know, just imagine how much energy it takes to keep up that lie. It's a drain. So how do we surrender? I like to say a good, easy way is to just pay attention to the ways that we insist that we're on our own. And then we can stop doing that. Stop insisting that somehow we're a separate little skin-encapsulated ego, not connected to others and not connected to the source of all life. We can open our minds to infinite good, practice meditation, pray our way through to the experience of oneness, and last but not least, I will say, love. Love is the key to the greatest energy that we can bring forth. Do I have time to finish with the reading? How are we doing here? Okay. I want to share with you some words from Paramahansa Yogananda on love. There's a feeling of cultivating energy here. This poem is called Breathe in Me. Breathe in me the way to love you, that I may learn to faultlessly love you. Pour me the wisdom wine by which I become intoxicated with you. Whisper in my ears of silence the way to be with you always. Speak to my wandering senses and lead them back to your sanctuary within. Call the marauding mind and counsel it how to retrace its steps to your home. With your silent eyes, just look at me, and I will know where to find you. You may hide beneath the ocean, you may hide behind delusion, you may hide behind life, you may hide behind dualities, you may hide behind theological conundrums, you may hide behind unanswered prayers, but you cannot hide behind my love. For in mirroring the light of my love, you are revealed. Words of Paramahansa Yogananda. I have been given one question. Please comment on how to deal with cognitive dissonance produced by the corporate environment that we cannot control but must deal with. I think that in my personal experience, this comes down to living a life, I will call it faith. It is this third point that I made of surrender, which is living our lives in truth and holding to truth and coming to trust that. I think it is true that we have so many struggles in the culture that we live in. I have people tell me all the time, how can you teach Satya? How can you teach? One man said, I'm a lawyer, I can't practice that. And he wasn't kidding. But how do we live? How do we live if we do not trust truth? And I mean truth with a capital T. And so I think we have to go deep into our practice and come to rely on the truth and understand and know and find through our experience that we are guided then. We are guided to the right place, to the right connections, and so forth. I do not think it is necessary for us. In fact, I think it is counterproductive to our health to continually assault ourselves with dissonance. First, get clear within ourselves and let ourselves be guided in the right way. That is the best that I know. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you much for your attention. And right before lunch, I bow to you. Namaste.